بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فإذا جاءت الصاخة يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه لكل امرئ منهم يومئذ شأن يغنيه وجوه يومئذ مسفرة ضاحكة مستبشرة ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة ترهقها قترة أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة صدق الله العظيم. Respected brothers and elders, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us on the face of this earth, and each and every single person, the moment he comes, he's been given a limited amount of time that he's going to be on the face of this earth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already decreed that before that person was even to come and step foot on this land. كتب الله مقادير الخلائق قبل أن يخلق السماوات والأرض ب50,000 سنة. That 50,000 years before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already decreed how long this insan will be on the face of this earth, what his lifespan will be, what his age will be, what he will do on the face of this earth, so on and so forth. And the moment a person comes into this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts that clock and his time starts expiring. That's why one of the scholars would say, Yabna Adam innama anta ayyam, in dhahaba yawm, dhahaba ba'duk. That, O children of Adam, O human beings, you are an accumulation of days. When you come into the face of this earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you might not know it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a set number of days that you are going to expire on this day. You are going to leave this world on this day. And we have different things that go on in our life. Sickness might come, you might get over one hurdle, and then another one might come, and then maybe towards the end of your life you might have a number that's put on there. Sometimes the doctor says 4 months, 6 months. Even those are not guaranteed. Many of people we know, you might know also, they say that the doctors have given them 6 months, but they're living 6 years, and still, mashallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them health. Right? But the point being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself knows that the amount of time he has put each and every single one of us on the face of this earth for. And the limited time that a person is in, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects certain things. The reward will be in proportion to what that person does. If that person lives a life of 20 years, but he's pleased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the reward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him will be a lifelong reward. And that will be paradise. If that person lives 60 years on the face of this earth, he did what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted him to do, accordingly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also give that person paradise. Now you flip it the other way around. The person lives 18, 19 years, but his life from after maturity was in the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that person did not turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that person will be pushed into the fire of Jahannam. Similarly, a person 60 to 70 years, he lived his life against the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does not have this kalima of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That person will also go and he will be thrown into the fire of Jahannam. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that every single day a person wakes up, he needs to wake up with this commitment to himself that he's going to work so hard in this day today that he's going to attain paradise. Utlubul jannata juhdakum wahrabu minan nari juhdakum. And he said he needs to wake up every single day with this commitment that he's going, whatever happens, he's going to save himself from the fire of Jahannam. A person wakes up and he has these commitments that he makes. That by the end of the year, I'm going to make my business take off. I'm going to have these goals that I set out in front. And that person makes his day and night into one. That person does everything that he is capable of in order to achieve those goals. And when he gets that, he gets so happy. Right? He can't even sleep at night because that's what is on his mind. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, at the end of that hadith, he said, فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ لَا يَنَامُ طَالِبُهَا وَإِنَّ النَّارَ لَا يَنَامُ هَارِبُهَا. He said the person who really wants paradise, he said he won't be able to sleep at night. It was a condition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for the paradise of others. He was already guaranteed paradise. But for the condition of others, his wife would mention that he would be tossing and turning every single night. His eyes would stay awake. And we know his nights, we listen to it. He would only spend very little time in the bed for rest. Aside from that, he would go make ibadah, and specifically he would go to make dua. And his du'as would be not for himself, not for his family members. What do we make dua for? And they're all good du'as. We make dua that Allah increase me in my wealth, right? Make my children obedient to me. All good du'as, and all for ourselves, and they should be made. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his du'as were for the ummah. Ya Rabbi ummati, ummati. It was for his ummah, it was for his nation. In fact, if you look at each and every single prophet, they were given one dua, be it in this life or the hereafter, that no doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will exactly accept, 100% accept, however they want it. Right? Because there are some du'as that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want to accept. But every prophet that came, they were given that one dua, whatever you want, exactly how you want it, it will be accepted. So all Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam, they used their du'as. When it came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he's the one who posed the question, that can I use it in this world? Does it expire in this world? Or does it remain till the hereafter also? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, said it's up to you. You want to use it in this world, you can use it in this world, or you can use it in the hereafter. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, on the day of judgment, when my ummah will be going towards the fire of Jahannam, those that recited the kalima of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, but their life was against the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, I want to leave my dua for them on the day of judgment. Right? So each and every single one of us that has been put on the face of this earth, we've been given these virtues that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had promised. First and foremost, He had given this kalima of La ilaha illallah. Secondly, He had made us from the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Like I mentioned, the Prophet knew no bounds of mercy. Right? His du'as in this world and in the hereafter will also be for His ummah and for His nation. But what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, there are certain things. We have these commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do certain things and stay away from certain things. The ulama, they mentioned, whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes something impermissible, He has made it impermissible because Allah has created us, right? So He has made it impermissible knowing that the insan is capable of staying away from that completely. So He has made intoxicants haram, knowing that insan and human beings can stay away from that. You in yourself and in your mind might feel that you cannot stay away from it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you and He has made those things haram because you have within yourself the capability to stay away from it. Because if you didn't, then how would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expect you to stay away from it? Then those other things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made impermissible at certain times and permissible in certain times. For example, right, committing adultery. Right? It's an act that insan can stay away from. Not all the time. It's a need from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put inside of a person. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it impermissible in certain situations, but Allah regulates that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, go ahead and get married. And do it in a way which is permissible. So on and so forth. Right? So anything which was made impermissible, today we see on the face of this earth. Right? And where we are, especially, and the things we listen to. And the things we are put to face on a daily basis. And how the mind becomes changed. So like over years, people work. Shaitan is the plan of shaitan. That how they can train the mind to believe something which was completely wrong, which was completely not okay 10, 15 years ago, but now is considered things which are normal. Right? And to the extent where it feels like, you know what, why has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made these things impermissible? Right? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes certain things haram, it's because a person can 110% stay away from it. You yourself might not choose to stay away from it. But there's nothing wrong in the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that every single insan has been created and he is to go through challenges. Right? The challenges of life he is going to have to go through. Alif Lam Mim. أَحَسِبَ النَّاسِ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. Especially for the believers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will throw challenges your way. Right? And every single day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test the person. But according to the test, that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward that person. That's why in Urdu they say, Jiski jitni qurbani, uski itni meharbani. That in accordance to how much sacrifice a person gives, accordingly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards that person. Right? So the amount of hardship that person is going to go through is not going to go in vain. Right? Assuming it's for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We look around in different parts of the world, right? Certain Muslims in certain countries, mashallah, are living a life of ease. Certain Muslims in certain countries are living a life of hardship. Accordingly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward certain people. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them on the face of this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them when they stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that for the poor believers, right, when they enter into paradise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will feed them with His own hands. Right? So whatever sacrifice they're making, sometimes it's not even by choice. You're just born in a household, you're born in a country, right, where you're just not able to get a job. You just economically you can't do it. You can try whatever you want, it just doesn't happen. Right? But now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you in that situation to have patience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants that person in that situation to persevere and hope for the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? You have different challenges being born and brought up in a different country. Right? Every single person has challenges. But people have to deal with those challenges knowing well that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward that person. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that for a believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the system amazing. That there is no loss for a believer. عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ إِنَّ الْأَمْرَ كُلَّهُ لَهُ خَيْرٌ. That it's amazing that I find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the system for believers where it's always a win-win situation. And then He explains, إِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ سَرَّاء شَكَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. That if this believer, he finds happiness, he finds goodness, he's been given wealth, he spends it in the right places, he's been given health, he uses that health for the assistance of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he thanks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, كَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. It's good for that person, Allah will reward him. On the other hand, the person has situations where he's going through hardships. إِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ ضَرَّاء صَبَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. But in those situations and in those challenges, that person perseveres. He has patience and he hopes in the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that even this person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept goodness for him, and that person might not see it in this world, but that person will definitely see it in the hereafter when he will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will look at paradise for a moment and he will forget all the hardships. And on the flip side, the person will go into and look at the fire of Jahannam and he will forget all the happiness. Right? Because what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept in the hereafter, فِيهَا مَا لَا عَيْنٌ رَأَتْ وَلَا أُذُنٌ سَمِعَتْ وَلَا خَطَرَ عَلَى قَلْبِ بَشَرٍ. The ulama, they mention that you can think of the best thing on the face of this earth. You won't even find the tip and the minimum of what paradise has. Sometimes we hear it. The lowest Jannati will have a Jannah as big as 10 times of the world. Now you just think about it. You can't wrap your hand around it. A person in his own life doesn't go to every single country. He cannot even traverse the earth. Forget the earth, and then what about the oceans and the water that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept? And then sometimes you hear that if a person just wishes on something, he thinks of something, it'll be there in front of him. A person wishes for a certain type of food, the bird will come and automatically it will come, fall in front of him, roasted and barbecued and ready for him to go. Right? So these things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept, they're not just stories, they're the reality. And they're there for us so that we sacrifice our desires on the face of this earth, so that we get it in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and from Allah in the hereafter. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the ability to use our life for His deen, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards us with paradise and He saves us from the fire of Jahannam. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.